I have a lot on my heart today, and I wanted to talk about Western hypocrisy. It gets a bit confusing when you're multi-cultured, and when you're an immigrant and you grew up in the West, you have this perception of you're free because that's what they teach you at school, right? That everyone is equal, you have your rights, you can be whoever you want, and you can say whatever you want. But as you get older, you realize that that is a privilege you don't have because of your background, right? So if I were to say something, it will have repercussions and you will be punished for it, because how dare you as an immigrant or as a minority behave out of order, and they will always put you in your place. When you grow up watching the people who look like you and the people who you perceive as one of your own, they are being punished, or they're being, it could be certain things of like an immigrant would say something to the media and they would be prosecuted for it. Like it would be absolute social suicide for them. Then you understand, all right, because of the way I look like now, I have to be careful. The institution, it is, everyone has equal rights, but in practice and in our society, that's not really the case. I find it very confusing, especially in Norway. When you're a student, you always they encourage you for individuality and to be able to do critical thinking, and you can basically say whatever you want as long as you have your the right sources, right? So if you're writing a paper, you can claim any argument as long as you can back it up. But in reality, you really can't. There will be repercussions, and it's not. I think that makes it hard for us to grow as a society, and it becomes even more difficult when you can watch, how Western governments can invade any minority, any country in the Middle East. The Middle East can basically destroy a whole society, do whatever they want, and they are not labeled as terrorists. Because if you are armed to your teeth and you go to Iraq or Afghanistan and you come from the UK and the US, when you're invading a whole country and you're killing 1 million of people, that makes you a terrorist, right? But when I was young and I said America is the biggest terrorist on earth, I had repercussions. I couldn't say that. But luckily, my teacher, he stood up for me because I could point out, I gave the definition of what a terrorist is. And that's exactly what America and the UK and every other 50 country, there were 50 nations who invaded Afghanistan. So I had the presentation, and because I could back it up, I wasn't expelled from school. It's mind-blowing when you grow up in Norway and you think, I can't have that argument in a school where now all the teachers are against me. What if my teacher wasn't as open-minded? Because back then you would have been open-minded. So, and now we have come to a different climate. It has changed quite a lot. Because before it would be, I don't know, maybe I was lying to myself, or I wanted to believe that maybe this was an issue only for the right wing or the centered politics, but now it seems like it is across the spectrum, right? It's the Conservatives' opinion are almost the same as the Labour. So all these politics, they're all kind of floating over each other. So you can't really be secure if you vote for left wing and you think, we have the same values, because it seems like everyone nowadays they're using the cheap card. So let's go against the brown people. So now they're dividing into us and other so that they can have their vote. And it's not a great place to be in. You see all these students, for instance, like in Colombia, the university, some of the students were protesting for Palestine. The Jewish and the Muslim and the queer community, all of them were put in prison. They were jailed for that. And it takes you back to the 1960s where they were doing the exact same to black students. For the movement of the liberation of, or the end of the segregation for the black communities. It's just mind-blowing because I think we all have this hope that the world is going to be a better place and whatnot and all that bullshit. And then you grow up and you realize, no, it's actually quite dark and there's still more work to be done. I think that is one of the main things that Palestine, the Gaza genocide has reminded all of us, is that certain people, based on their religion and on the skin of their color, they do not have the same rights and they do not have the same privileges as others. It has I feel like it truly has liberated us, and it has shown us the face of cruelty. At least for me, I have truly woken up. It has reminded me of, to waking up from my slumber, that you're not as free as you think. And if the whole world can watch atrocities happening to a million of people and no one is reacting, and there's so many conventions, the UN conventions have been broken again and again, 1,000 of them, and no one is lifting a finger. And we're all just going to sit and watch on our screens people being massacred and starved to death. And no one's going to say anything because it doesn't benefit them. Everyone wants to please their allies. Everyone is so afraid of America and saying no to them. So why am I voting for these idiot left wings if you cannot? The only thing you have is my vote, and I'm giving it to you. Like, the people, you're not listening to the people. So why? It makes me so frustrated because, you're told you vote. You have to be politically active. You have to do this and that, and the world will be a better place. But no, at the end of the day, the government is going to listen to the Americans. It's like they have to listen to their allies because there's, God forbid, they go against them and everyone sits still. No one wants to move a bloody finger. I think it hits home because the people that are being bombed, they look like me. That could have been me. And the Islamophobia will affect us. It will affect all of us. And it feels like there's this vicious cycle that you can't really, if you speak up about it, you're going to lose on opportunities. The wall is going to close in on you. But that happens to just one group of people, because when I spoke about Ukraine, nothing happened. No one's going to punish me for speaking out about Ukraine. And it's not because their struggles are much different than others. It's only because of the skin of their color. No one questioned me as a refugee when I stood up for the Ukrainian refugees and what was happening to them by Russia. But Russia has been bombing the Middle East. What did they do to Syria? And what have they done to Chechnya? No one bats an eye. But whenever there is a white Christian majority population being bombed, everyone cares. I think we should all care about all people being bombed. Literally, it's like, I feel like everyone is in psychosis or they make you go insane. How are we going to let people die and no one is lifting a finger? And I have voted for you. Your job is to listen to the people and your voters, and they're not doing it, right? But whenever the election comes around, they need a brown person to support them. And I'm talking about the Labour Party in Norway. What do they want? They all go to the Greenland where all the brown people live and, give out their stupid ass roses. Nobody wants your roses. Nobody wants your roses. Speak up when 1 million people is being killed. That is the bare minimum you can do. But they're all holding back, being careful. Then you might as well vote for the Conservative, because at least they are consistent. You know where you have them. They're not some two-faced cowards. At least if you're a Zionist, if you support Israel and you don't care what Israel does to Palestinians, you don't care what Israel does to Lebanon or Syria, and they can be as unhinged and bomb whoever the fuck they want, at least say that. At least say it so we know where you are. Don't act like you care about, you care about the humanity and you're so left-wing and you care about the workers. You don't even care about the workers. You don't. I'm so angry at this. I actually need to calm down. Yeah, so I think if you're from Poland and you go to Palestine, you steal a land, that makes you a terrorist. That makes you a settler. That makes you a colonizer. Truly, I don't care where you're from. You can't do that. I am in Norway. I'm an immigrant. Imagine if I went to Oslo and just kicked out a family and said, I belong here. How does that make sense? You're crazy. You're from Poland. You're from USA, and that's where you belong. You cannot have an ethno-state based off religion and then just murder. And all of us are supposed to be okay with it. And what I think is, if you do not stand for humanity, what else have you got? So what? You lost an opportunity. So what? Louis Vuitton is not going to work with you because you spoke up. And then what happens? At least I didn't watch children being murdered. What is that one campaign going to do for you? I am deeply disappointed in my industry and the way they're behaving and the people that I know, because it doesn't cost you anything to say ceasefire now, end the genocide. And what bothers me is, if my family was being bombed, my own blood was being killed, half of these people wouldn't even stop it. So if I'm being killed on the street, would they even care? would they even care? And that has completely changed the way I look at certain people in my life. And I have ended friendships because of it, because they have a platform and they have a say in the world, and they choose to be quiet when we need them the most. But a bunch of cowards. I can't have people like that in my life, because if we cannot agree on basic human rights, then what else do we have? I don't care how amazing your collection was. I don't care how great you are at styling. I don't give a shit what kind of movie you're going to be in. Children are being killed, and you can't say, guys, we need to end this. One post, one story, right? And then some of them are such airheads. What's it going to make a difference? Imagine 1 billion people said that. It took literally 10 years for America to end the Vietnam War. People were protesting 10 years. Muhammad Ali were put in jail, right? You have to sacrifice something. Nothing is going to happen to you. You're going to lose one job, and you can't lose one job for humanity. For me, it's absolutely mind-blowing. And it is disheartening knowing that it's the brown skin of the Palestinians that is stopping the world from reacting like this. Because if it did happen to a white majority population, it would cause an uproar. And I want everyone to be equal. I want people to be as equally upset when something is happening to a white child, to a brown child, or black child. That's it. And it shouldn't be this hard. I mean, history should teach us something, or else we're going to repeat it. I feel a bit conflicted, because we know what we know. And then you protest, and you do the best you can. And election is going to come up, and you want to vote for the change. You want politicians who are going to stand up for what the people believe in, because I believe the majority of the people are good. I think there's good in people. I don't think I don't believe the majority of, let's say, the country that I live in, I don't believe the majority of Norwegians support genocide. And we see the amount of people who protest every day for Palestine. We see it. But the fact that the politicians are not listening to the people who voted for them, that is the scary part. Because what else are we supposed to do? If I can't vote for the left, I am leftist. I view myself as a social democrat, let's say, and I vote for them, and they're not going to listen to me. What can I do? It makes me feel hopeless, because there's a reason why I immigrated to a country who has all these rights, is because I want to exercise those rights, and I want to keep them, and I want them to include other people. So the fact that the US and the EU would rather start a war than to acknowledge Palestinians as human and give them their human rights, I think it shows the level of that they're just only after the profit, and they cannot say no to the Zionists, which, by the way, has an amazing lobby. Their lobby is incredible. The best PR the world has ever seen, the Zionists have it. But thanks to social media, it is crumbling, because their propaganda is not going as the way they intended. I mean, I'm sure they spent millions on it, if not billions. If I say one little thing about Israel, all their bots are waking up, and you know the amount, and that's just what they do on social media. What they have on their media, the mainstream media, is completely different. But now, because we have these stories that are coming out, and the brave Palestinians who are posting during a genocide, you have to post about it and let people know. You have to broadcast your suffering and the suffering of your people. So if someone is dying, you can't help them, and the last thing you do before your own death is to post about it. The trauma those people are going to have is going to stick in them for generation. I have been through a war, but my family never had to post about it the way the Palestinians have to. I think it creates a different kind of trauma. We are burdening them even more. But they are the brave ones, truly. And what they have done, the work that they have done to let the world know what's going on, it puts a shame to the mainstream media, and it puts a shame to the East and the West journalism. Anything ethics they all talked about, being critical thinking, that's a bunch of bullshit. They have no backbone. They cannot do their jobs properly. All you have to do, what pisses me off is they always act like the propaganda is only from China or Russia. You know, like, oh, why people watching and the Chinese news is so filled with propaganda. The Iran regime has a propaganda. America has a propaganda. Israel is a regime, whether you want to accept it or not. The West has their own propaganda, but they don't want to believe it. They think their stories are the right ones. But Palestine has completely shattered that. How can... It puts them really to shame, and it's absolutely embarrassing. The cruelty is visible now. It really is. So if there's anyone who questioned, the whole world basically needs to wake up right now. That's what's happening. And that is thanks to the Palestinians. Their liberation and their fight for their liberation has liberated us. And I think the mainstream media has completely... It has been shattered. They have no leg to stand on. And I'm not even going to talk about the East, like the Arab and the African leaders, because they have always been cowards. They have always been America's puppets. They can never stand on their own. They can never speak up. Crappy people. Literally the most corrupted. One thing is, I've always said this, because my country, Somalia, we had civil war. And I've always said it hurts more when it's your own people who are doing you harm than the outsiders. I mean, if they're invaders, at least when we were colonized by the British and by the Italian, we had a common enemy. And it hurts more when it is your own people who are destroying and who is behind the destruction. So to see Arab cowards standing there and they can't even make a proper sentence because they're so afraid of the Americans, just shut up. You rather just shut up about it, because they can't make a move without being recognized or without having permission from America. And America can't do shit without having permission from Israel. So in a way, I am in complete awe of the Zionist lobby work. I really am, because the way they managed to be completely unhinged and just do their atrocities, but do not a single care for the UN or whatever international law there is, they are above it. And we have seen that they are above it. It seems like it's the end for the Western supremacy. It really is. It's disheartening. And I have never expected any more from so-called Muslim leaders. I hate calling them Muslim leaders. The fact that I share religion with them. If I could take away someone's religion, I would. I would have stripped away that title from them, because they're not leaders and they're definitely not Muslim. Well, I don't know if I can say they're Muslim or not, but I don't view them as that. And they're definitely not my leaders. They stand there. Do you know what pisses me off? They always use the religion. They're always in their robes or whatever, speaking, using Islamic terms, acting like they are for the Muslim community. You're not. The people are being killed, and you can't even make a stop to it. You're going to use your oil and your gas and do your trades, because at the end of the day, this is profit. As long as you sell your crappy oil, you're happy with it, right? And whenever the West is going on, oh no, why do you come visit our country? Why don't you do this and talk about? Because whenever I talk about Islamophobia, they salute for me, they clap for me. Oh, how wonderful you're speaking about the West and their hypocrisy. Yeah, the West they have hypocrisy, but you people are complete shitholes. So excuse my language, I'm very angry. You know what I mean? Like, you want me to do your PR. When I talk about the West, it's because there are actually some rights here that people have. And I want to exercise those rights. Bloody hell, I didn't do the whole refugee route just to be silenced. Then I could have stayed in my home country. At least we don't have snow, right? I could have been laying in a beach in Mogadishu. But I came because I wanted the rights. And I learned how to ski. So now I'm enjoying Norway. And I want to enjoy my rights, right? But everyone loves it when I talk crap about the Western politics, because they salute and they're very happy and supportive of me. But whenever I mention their kings and their leaders, so-called leaders, now you want to cry? I think with me, I have no loyalty. The only loyalty I have is to humanity. If you're crossing boundaries and if you're killing people, you're killing people. But you want me to be quiet about it? Why? Because we pray to the same God? Because I believe you're going to hell. You kill 1 million people, I'm not going to see you in paradise. I don't know where you think you're going, but we're not the same. Right? And I think they should be called as well, because there's a lot of hypocrisy going on within our communities, right? if I want to talk badly about Norwegian politics, every immigrant in Norway is going to agree with me. But whenever I mention their country, now you want to start crying. Because if your country was so great, why are you here? I know why I'm here, and I can say it. My politicians are corrupt. They're not my leaders. They are the reason, my people are destroying my country. I would love to be there having mango and chai and just enjoying myself. Imagine if the war never happened, I didn't have to come to Europe. I wouldn't even know what racism is. I wouldn't know what Islamophobia is. I could live fabulously on a beach. But here I am. And you want me to act like my country is the greatest? No. So whatever you are, I think we should all stand for humanity. I really believe that. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I have been angry. And now I can enjoy my coffee in peace. Until next time.